What's up? Doug Cunnington here from Niche Site Project. Welcome. It looks like we have a handful of people in the house already, and that's awesome. So give me a shout in the chat and just say, hey, what's up? It's my first time on. I've been on a lot of these webinars, and you could also tell me, where you're from. I'm interested in that too. We see Adnan is on here. Welcome. So this, of course, is the webinar on keyword research, right? That's what we're doing today. Keyword research for niche sites that works. And Rahul is first time on. Awesome. Mohammed is on too. We got Nicola from Croatia. Awesome. Also a first timer. We got Mohammed from Pakistan. We got Brandy from Tacoma. Nice city there. And then Chuck from Kentucky. It is blowing up in the chat. We have Isaac, Ricky. We have Thomas from Sweden. We have John, Sacramento, Ivan, Paul. Holy cow, there's so many people here. And Faison and Emil from Sweden. Good to see you on here. And Isaac from Kenya. Fantastic. Really good to have you on. Again, this is a keyword research webinar. This is just a workshop, free training, no sales pitch. You can't, if you want to buy something, you cannot buy anything. Always good to have. And, I didn't put the message in the chat, but, everyone be nice, be cool. We usually don't have any issues with that, but I just want to mention that. So everyone be nice to everyone else. Also, not just in the chat, but in your daily life too, right? You should just be nice to people. So, all right, cool. We got Bob on, Marcel as well, and Rakesh. So cool. Today, we're going to go sort of deep into keyword research, and there's a couple things that I've learned over the last few years. I'll tell you about myself in a minute, and get into why you should listen to me, stuff like that. Now, I have a cool dog next to me named Georgie. She's sleeping now, and I was going to introduce you to Georgie. My wife and I adopted this 4-year-old border collie about 2 weeks ago. Often she's quiet, she's sleeping, fantastic to work with. Other times she'll bark and freak out and make a lot of noise. So hopefully that won't occur. But if it does, I'll just try and handle it the best I can. But Georgie's super awesome. And gets me out of the house for a lot of walks. So we have Balil, cool, good to have you on. Mustafa from Senegal. Kemlesh and ATM from Poland. And yes, we are indeed live. And someone probably just clicked around and requested to speak. You probably accidentally did that. But for today, no need for anyone to speak. But I can see that it's Base Rocky or Bose Rocky requested to speak. Cool. So I gave everyone about 4 minutes to get on, and I just want to remind everyone there's a replay, right? So if you have to, I don't want you to leave. I want you to stay on here for the whole time. I want you to, turn off notifications, which I have to remember to turn off notifications on my phone here, or else I'll get a telemarketer calling me. So turn off your notifications, get out a notebook. I even have a notebook here so I can keep notes too, but take some notes, write things down. I encourage you to take notes on paper, try to get out of apps, and just pay attention, all right? So let's get started here. And if people are joining late, you can catch up at the beginning. I'm going to do a little bit of an intro. Here's how it's going to work. I'm going to give a little bit of an intro so you know who I am and why you should even listen to me. And then we will get into the content. It'll go pretty deep. And then at the end, there will be Q&A. Now, feel free to ask questions throughout. Mark them as questions. It's much easier for me to see those later. And I'll generally wait to answer the questions until the end just to preserve my train of thought. We will take a couple breaks, and I'll do some informal polls as we're working through this. Just, don't get bored. Adrian's on too. Awesome. So this, as I mentioned, keyword research for niche sites. It applies for authority sites. They're basically the same thing. It's just a branding terminology situation. Again, I'm Doug Cunnington from Niche Site Project. I think probably a lot of people saw this webinar on the Niche Hacks Facebook group. Some others may have been sent emails from other folks, but like wherever you saw it, I'm probably friends with whomever referred you over to me. So wherever you came from, that's cool. Glad to have you on. And, I appreciate Stuart and Nader letting me, share stuff in that Facebook group. Okay. Everyone can hear me, but I always put this slide in because you always got to check. So I'm Doug. That's my late dog Brody there. That was a Beartooth Pass, like 12,000 feet, beautiful drive. It's actually only about a couple hours from where I live here in Bozeman, Montana. Today, it doesn't look like that. Today, it's very foggy and there's snow there's a lot of snow here. It's cold. And I'm the founder of Niche Site Project. I have a YouTube channel as well where I do a lot. Both are oriented towards Amazon affiliate marketing, some project management ideas. And, I mentioned project management, and I'm a project management professional. I had a corporate job for a little while, about a decade, and I did management consulting. I worked in IT in general and did a variety of things in a few industries and sort of settled in telecom. It kind of picked me. I didn't really pick it. And then I ended up in project management. I did that for about eight to 9 years or so. And I've had my PMP for, 9 years at this point. So I sort of like dabbled in niche sites starting about 4 years ago. So in 2013, I found the Smart Passive Income podcast. That was like my gateway like drug into internet marketing. Before that, I had no idea that you could actually make money online or anything like that. I was just clueless. I had no idea that you could make money online. So I launched a website within like 6 weeks or a month of finding out about niche sites, and it was a terrible flop. It didn't work. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know about keyword research, right? Like that we're talking about today. And I've learned over time using project management ideas and the ideas of like continuous improvement, iterating upon things that work and, stopping the things that don't work. So I have like a pretty solid system, and I'm actually doing like a series of webinars, and they're in order, right? So it's like keyword research. I'll talk about content. I'll talk about SEO, scaling content. There's about 6 of them over the next, including this one, over the next 6 weeks. There are 6 webinars. So if you're interested, keep coming to these things. You should be able to like, I guess, automatically subscribe to the future ones. Okay, so moving on. I have been featured, why should you listen to me? I have been featured on several different places or mentioned in some fashion. I've been on a few podcasts, I've done guest posts, and I kind of know what I'm talking about. You probably have recognized some of these blogs out there, and you could find me on those blogs. And earlier this year, I was actually featured on Social Triggers by Derek Halpern. Sort of, he was a person that I continue to look up to and have looked up to since I got started online. And I was mentioned on his site, Social Triggers, earlier this year. The timeline is so important. I put this in here to, I guess, show you the roller coaster that I've been through, but also it's a reminder for me that like the reason why I create websites like I do, and I'm a white hat advocate at this point, is because of all these dips in here, right? So I'll briefly talk about some of these. So like I said, in April of 2013, I learned about niche sites and launched my first couple, which were flops. And then in July, people sticking with Amazon, and I'm continually refining my process and learning more and learning more from people on webinars like this, and learning from people that have different experience from me. So that first website did really well. I made $6,000 in December, and I thought, hey, I'm going to quit my job. This is the greatest thing ever. I could finally be proud to tell my friends, here's what I've been working on. Here professional friends can respect, that level of effort in making that money. Of course, like any good internet marketing story, my site got penalized and my income dropped to like $100 a month overnight. It was very right. So I recovered. I tried to, see what I could do, see what I could salvage, and in was using the same sort of methods as before. And when that working on doing more gray hat stuff, my sites got penalized. And by the way, I do see that. Let me see what I can do here. So I'm getting okay. There's always some kind of tech issue, and I am really unsure what the problem is here. So let me see. I'm gonna wait here. Okay, so now we're hearing there's no video. We're hearing bad things in general. Let me see. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, but I have no clue what's going on. All right. Okay, so I have no clue what's going on. I actually have like a super fast internet connection, so I'm not sure what the issue is here at all. Let me just check one other thing, and then, yeah, I'm gonna try and reboot. And okay, I'll be right back and see what happens here, see if I can actually get back on here. Okay, are we back? Are we? Can people hear and or see me? Um, it looks like people are still in here. We have like 49 on here. So, okay. Here's the crazy thing. I like rebooted my computer earlier, like did all this stuff I'm supposed to, and hey, this is where we are, right? I think the hardest part of using this software is not cussing with like 50 people watching. That's the hardest part. Okay, cool. You can see I did a wardrobe change. I got hot, from all this webinar business, but I think we're back on track and see what we can do here. All right. Let me hit the presentation again here and see what we can do. All right. And I appreciate everyone. I appreciate your patience. This is bananas, right? So thanks, and I won't won't go on too long. Thanks, everyone, and I appreciate the just extreme patience. Okay, back to the story here. I got laid off in 2015, and I thought, hey, I'm going to make this side gig my full-time thing. And fast forward, I'm going to not go too deep. My wife got laid off like this time last year, right before Christmas, from her company of 10 years. And you can see things were on a trajectory, though. So in June of this year, sold a site for $235K with a partner of mine named Rob, good friend of mine, actually. So moving on, and this is, again, I've been through several things. I can tell you what doesn't work too. So I do want to ask about your experience. So when did you first hear about niche sites? Kind of let me know about sort of the issue, or not the issues, but the first time that you've heard about niche sites, and then your experience level. Okay, Sanjay is telling me that there's more issues. Is that isolated? Let me know, everyone, if there are even more issues out there. And by the way, I have like fiber to the house. I'm physically plugged in with an Ethernet cable. Like I've done many things because I've had a lot of issues overall. All right. So again, Q&A is at the end, but if you do have questions, you can ask throughout. Like if you're afraid you're going to forget them or something like that, like you can ask them and just be sure you mark them as a question. I'll do my best to get to them. Again, turn off your distractions, turn off your just like other things that'll get in your way. So Raul is mentioning you have 2 sites earning a little bit right now. And yeah, just let me know sort of your experience level and all that stuff. Okay, keyword research. That is the topic of the day. And I'm sort of like getting a gauge from people. So I kind of know like where to spend more time in certain areas. So Brady learned about niche sites this year, but you didn't start learning about them until November, so pretty recent. Duke's been blogging since 2010 with Amazon niche sites about 7 months ago. Okay. Raul says you've failed a lot, but you've had 2 sites and they're earning a little. Okay, cool. Now this keyword research stuff applies basically like to anything, any kind of content. However, we're going to be focused on niche sites today and Amazon affiliate sites primarily, but it does apply. If you take the general ideas, you can place them in other areas. Now, I just want to remind you that there's a lot of ways to do things. So this is an Emerson quote, although I'm told it may not be Ralph Waldo, maybe someone else. As to methods, there may be a million and then some, but principles are few. The man who grasps principles can successfully select his own methods, or her. The man or woman who tries methods ignoring principles is sure to have trouble. So the point is, if you copy things exactly, you may be able to get a little bit of success, but if you get the principles, then you can, like I said, take it somewhere else, right? So I kind of understand keyword research. I understand it pretty well, and I'm looking to take those skills from like organic search, blog SEO, to say YouTube, and like get YouTube working well and attract traffic organically in YouTube, right? So if you understand the principles, you can apply it anywhere. Now, we're going to go over four main things here. One is types of keywords. Now, this is sort of the issue that I ran into. The types of keywords were the wrong ones when I first started. The second part is going to be around the keyword volumes and like just ranges and what maybe you could expect. And then the target volumes, right? So, you know, that has shifted over time, and I have a different thought or different thoughts, really different than a lot of people out there. And it's way different than what I learned from, say, Pat Flynn back in the day or Spencer Hawes, even what some people are teaching now. I do things very differently, and I think it's part of the project management background that I have. And fourth is like the main event sort of keyword golden ratio idea. So I do have some information on that in other videos and stuff on YouTube, but we'll just talk about it specifically today. And then with the context of the first 3 points, it should really come together well. And then hopefully, you know, Chuck, you'll get the keyword research down. Okay. So there are four main types of keywords in general that we're going to care about. There is a buy now. Those are sort of pre-purchase buy now, and people are about to buy something and maybe they look up. I'm just going to use an arbitrary example. I always use pens because I have a bunch laying around. So someone may type in like Pilot G2 pen, buy, something like that, or for sale or something like that. Now those are like people are like really about to buy something like in a couple minutes, right? The next type is a product type keyword. Now these are like a little bit earlier in like the sales funnel. So maybe people are doing a little bit of research on these pens and, you know, they just want to, they're not 100% sure if they're going to buy yet, or maybe they just need more information before they make a decision. Now these product type keywords are really good. They indicate like a buyer's intent, which is kind of what we're getting into here in a second, but they indicate like someone's trying to get like more information. Now the next one is informational. These are like way further up in the funnel, and they may even be like, what is a pen? What is a Pilot G2 pen? They could also be around like how to do something. So how to refill the ink cartridge in a Pilot G2 pen. And really most of the keywords online are informational type. So a lot of times you may end up with like a Wikipedia page or some big authority site. If it's like health related, maybe you see like WebMD or Mayo Clinic or something like that, just a big authority. So far we have buy now, the product, and the informational, and last is like general information. These are really the tire kickers, like you're just learning about the topic. And actually I said, like what is a Pilot G2 pen? That is actually the general information rather than like the how-to or best way to do something. So the general information, those are, you know, really, really, really way far up in the sales funnel. Okay. So, or the person may not be in any sort of capacity to like buy anything, right? It could be like information about a jet, right? Like most people are not going to buy a jet. Some people will, but not most people. So, okay. Moving on to the keyword volumes. So I'll abbreviate often with LMS, and that's local monthly searches. Local just meaning your like Google geography, like that version of the Google database. Generally, everything that I'm talking about is like the US version, right? So if you go to a different version of Google, these keyword volumes will be off. Like it's all different. Generally, I think the US has like the largest volumes, and those are like the global. Anyway, so LMS is what we'll abbreviate this as, so I could do fewer syllables, right? So these are just my opinion, right? So other people will tell you other stuff. This is what I am operating on. So we have very high search volumes of 9,000 or more. We have high of 2,500 to 9,000. It's a big range, but a lot do actually fall in that high range. We have medium, and there are 700 to 2,500 searches for that range. The low volume is 250 to 720, and the ultra low and long tails are under 250, all the way down to zero, by the way, all the way to zero. So you will see that some people, right, recommend that you go after this high range here. They tell you got to launch your site with a high range, maybe even a very high. You want to get like the highest search volume. Now, I disagree in general, because most people, right, they need to see some like positive momentum early, right? Or you're going to quit. The other part is like the reality of it is you'll work on the site for a little while and your family and friends will see you working hard on it. You'll tell them, hey, I'm working on this niche site thing. It works like this. There's this guy, Doug, that says it can work. There's other people. There's podcasts, there's YouTubers, they're saying that it can work, and I'm spending all this time on it, and your family's like, okay, sure, that sounds crazy, sure it's going to work. And what happens sometimes, unfortunately, is you'll work on it for a long time, and your friends and family will ask you, well, you're spending all this time, and they care about you. They're going to ask you if you're making any money yet. And a lot of times when people go after these high or very high ranges, they don't make any money for a long time because it takes a while. And basically, they'll think you're crazy and they're going to tell you you're wasting your time. So essentially, don't start here. If you're experienced, you can move up into this range, or as you're learning, you can move up into this range. But you really need to focus on these medium, low, and ultra low areas in general. So when you're looking, and this makes my point here, so the higher the search volume, the longer it takes to rank. It needs more links, and generally, right, if there's more volume, there's more money, and that means there's more competition. However, if you target these down here, it's faster to rank. Of course, all the opposite things apply. Fewer links, less competition, and so on. And quick note, so we have Maddie mentions the keyword golden ratio being legit. You started a site 3 months ago. You made $7 in October, 38 in November, and 40 in December. And the keyword golden ratio is where the money comes from. So Maddie says, after ranking those, your medium keywords have started to rank. No backlinks yet. So Maddie, that's fantastic. It's obviously like, I don't even know who you are, I don't think. But anyway, if you send me some of your documentation and stuff, would love to feature you somehow in the future. So that's really cool, and that's like the best thing that I could show is like proof from other people. Because who cares if I can do it, right? Like if I can do it, that's cool. But if I can teach other people to do this stuff, well, that's what you care about, right? Like you don't care if I can publish something and get it to rank. That's me. Okay, target volume. So here's the deal. You kind of want to play in this range. So you want to start here with the ultra low and the long tails, and slowly, like Maddie is telling us, you've watched probably a lot of videos, you know that you can move into this range even without trying, and it happens naturally if you focus on these. It's counterintuitive, and I know, I don't know, there's a lot of type A, everyone has like some type A tendencies, especially when you're like, hey, I'm going to launch a site. I'm going to really like do this. I'm going to work harder than the other people. And everyone has a lot of confidence in themselves, which is good. You should. You got to believe in yourself. And they think, hey, I'm just going to go for the high because I'm so dedicated. I can put my head down and work for a year or 18 months before seeing anything, but it's really hard. Just start in here. Trust me. Okay. So you want to start here. You want to launch your site with content that is targeting the ultra low and long tails because of Maddie. That is like the perfect example there, because of people that can show us, like Maddie, that if you launch there, you can start making money quickly. And like, it's just amazing. But if you started in the like more competitive zone, it's just not going to work well. So I was wise enough to put a quick water break in here. So any questions so far on the keyword search volumes or anything like that? Has anyone seen the breakdown as I've mentioned like that? And funny thing, I hear my the fan on my laptop is running. And I'm like, oh, why is it working so hard? Usually doesn't do that. So hopefully, fingers crossed, this baby's going to work. All right, yeah, let me know if you've seen the breakdown like that before or any questions you have associated with it. I'm just curious from everyone out there. Okay, here's the deal with the keyword golden ratio. We're going to launch into it. It's simplified here, okay? So it's very straightforward and it works, like Maddie said. So you take the all-in title and you divide it by the local monthly searches. Where the local monthly searches are under 250, right? So you need it to be under 250. You want to have the ratio to be 0.25 or less, okay? So I think probably a few people on here are going to ask why under 250. So that's how the formula works, right? I made it up so I can call it whatever I want, and I can tell you what numbers fit in there. When you use under 250 and the 0.25 ratio, you end up with a very solid formula that will perform most of the time. The reason why you choose 250 is because of the sheer numbers, right? So if we're looking at 0.25 as the ratio and you keep it under 250, that means there's 62 to 63 results that you have to compete with. So again, if you plug in the numbers and write it down on paper, you'll see what I'm talking about. But we're looking at the sheer number of results where there is a blog post or some URL on the internet where they've intentionally put in like all the words in that keyword phrase. And I'll show you what the all-in title is, by the way, if you're unfamiliar. That's coming up in a second. But basically that all-in title indicates, like if someone puts all those keywords in the title, that they're intentionally trying to rank that term, right? It would be unusual for all those words to end up in the title if they didn't know something about SEO, keyword research, and so on. So just a quick check. I haven't seen any, oh, the chat is popping up quite a bit. So I'll, it froze over there. I was like, oh no, no one can see anything. Okay, cool. The reason why we pick 0.25 is that indicates less competition. So this is like a sheer numbers thing. So a lot of people ask, oh, what if I go to 1,000? Like I want to do the LMS under 1,000. You can do whatever you want, okay? I'm just telling you the most basic, foolproof formula. I must keep it simple. I have like 30 caveats, different like details that I could add. But if you just follow this as it is, it'll generally work pretty damn well. Okay. So cool. I do see more stuff in the chat here. And Isaac is saying the keyword golden ratio is so powerful. You made sales after 2 weeks and you're still making sales. Fantastic, Isaac. That's really cool. And Bo says, how many words should be written in an article for better sales? As many as you could write. Okay, so if you'll ask, I usually do about 1,000 to start with, and I'll just put more and more content up to 12, 15,000 words, whatever, right? There's no, if you're asking just how many can you write, as many as you can fit in there. Okay, Dennis is asking about clarifying how I relate volume to keyword difficulty. So I'm just gonna go back in a second and answer that. So I'll hold that till the end. And people are asking about the keyword competition, and I'm just gonna double check there's nothing in here that is relevant for the current questions. Okay, cool. So moving on, so you get the keyword volumes from a tool like Keyword Keg, and I will come back to the questions, folks, by the way. If you have the ability to mark them as a question, that is super helpful for me. So I will come back in a second and focus on the keyword golden ratio for now. So you get the keyword volumes from a tool. You shouldn't use the Google, what do you call it? The keyword planner at this point. It doesn't give you real data, like specific data, unless you have like an ad running, and generally just pay for a tool. Like use a tool or pay for a tool, or like just, you're gonna have to spend a few bucks a month on this. Most tools do have some form of a free trial, so you can take advantage of that if you want. So example 1, right? So this is which electric shaver is best for sensitive skin. And so you do the all in title. So you do all in title, colon, and then your search phrase. Here's a couple things to note. Everyone listen close. Don't ask this question later. So the all in title, there's no space after the colon. You do not use double quotes. Don't use double quotes. Everyone listen, don't use double quotes. Just type it in like this, okay? So all in title, colon, and then your search phrase. Now in this case, you just type it right into Google like this. You'll see there are 4 results, and I checked using a tool called Keyword Keg that there are 10 searches for which electric shaver is best for sensitive skin. So the KGR ends up being 0.4 here. So a couple things to note, like we're good on the local monthly searches, 10 searches per month. However, we have 0.4, so that is obviously greater than 0.25, and we want it to be less than 0.25. So this is, not great. It doesn't meet the threshold. So it doesn't meet the threshold, and it may not be bad. There's only 4 results, so maybe you do go for it, but it's not as favorable as the 0.25. So next is one that's near and dear to my heart, being a bald man over here. So best electric shaver for bald head. All right, I actually don't use an electric shaver like that, but maybe some people do. You do the all in title, just like I said, no quotes, just put the search phrase in there and go for it, right? So in this case, we have 26 results, and there are 210 searches, and when you do the math, it's 0.12. That works. That's awesome. That fits the criteria. If you publish a post, and by the way, I pulled these numbers a little while back, so if you check this yourself, it may be slightly different. These are moving targets. Like people could publish more content, and then you'll end up with more all-in-title results. The number of searches changes over time with Google, or like with trends and popularity of certain topics. There may just be like more searches or fewer searches as time goes on. So keep that in mind. And those are the 2 like great examples there that I could give. And a lot of people have trouble just finding KGR terms early on, right? It's hard, right? Like you're not sure how to do it. You're not sure how to find them. The easiest way and by a long, like, what am I trying to say? I do this most of the time. I'll just keep it simple here. I do this most of the time. Listen to Google. Always listen to Google. So if you come up with some general term, maybe you started with best electric shaver, and then you start thinking about like other things that you could add in here. Maybe you type in best electric shaver for, click space, and then you'll have all these suggestions, right? So Google will give you some auto-suggest stuff, and then you can go from there. After you search for like best electric shaver for bald head, you will be able to scroll down to the very bottom and see related searches where it tells you other interesting terms where they're related, right? Like go for it, they're related. It totally makes sense. So listen to Google. So I blasted through that pretty quickly, and I'm gonna pause here for a moment and look at some of the questions here. Okay, so people are people are going deep, and I will come over to those in a second. So before we do hit the Q&A, I don't think there's a very big mention here, but I just want to say that like the site, I didn't even show any screenshots of earnings, but like one of the sites that I talk about sometimes, I don't talk about all my sites, but one that I mentioned that I'll publish screenshots for, it's doing really well this year so far. So just in general, I'm not putting I'm like reinvesting some, but like in general, I'm not putting much time into it. And this is like the biggest difference for like having the corporate job, which I had a good 6-figure corporate job. I was, I worked really hard. I worked really hard, but I was lucky to have that job, and I had a good one in that, no way was it like ideal. The bad part was like to get paid more, like you had to work more, do some crazy stuff. Now, I think niche sites are the best way to get started. If you're watching this right now, like you probably like niche sites as well. I think Amazon affiliate, by the way, is probably like the easiest way to get started. Amazon is exploding. People are buying more and more stuff from Amazon in general. And I will mention a buddy of mine. So this is from 2016. Rob hasn't shared anything here recently, but he made like over $223,000 from Amazon in 2016. He's doing really well. Okay, so this was last year, but we're kind of locking down some of our like projects and stuff right now. Dave Fox, I bet a couple people have seen or heard of Dave Fox. So he made in 2016 over 38,000, and you could see like it was growing really well. And I can't wait to get like updated numbers from him coming up soon. And a lot of people don't actually know what to work on. And I'm going to go through this a little fast here. So if you understand what to work on, like keyword research, you're way ahead of the game, right? And there's, again, several free sessions coming up over the next several weeks where I'm going to tell you what you should work on. There's a lot of stuff that you could work on that is not really going to help move the needle, right? You could work on a lot of stuff that'll help you gain like 1% or 2%, but you really need to work on stuff like keyword research where, like Maddie, like all of a sudden you'll be able to pull together a site, you understand what you're working on, and you understand where to put your time into, and you start making money much faster. So again, like Dave's a good example where he was doing a lot of stuff for a couple of years. We did some coaching sessions, and he was able to like do the right things at the right time to make a full-time income for himself. So I think we're going back. So picking a poor niche is another mistake. Not knowing how to get traffic. Again, the upcoming webinars, I'm going to talk more about these. So anyway, I do have a course called 5-Figure Niche Site. You can't buy it now, but in the future, sometime in the future, you will be able to buy 5-Figure Niche Site. It will be next year, but I just want everyone to know that that's why I do these, right? So at some point, I'll tell you about my course. It's not for everyone, right? Definitely not for everyone. But if you want to sort of like take a shortcut, like learn from my system and, learn from what I've learned teaching other people, the course is probably where you want to be. Okay, enough of that. I'm going to get to the questions here. And there were several. I'm going to skip back. Sorry, I missed a few of those previously. And let's see. Okay, I'm going to try and hit them all. I didn't scroll back as far as maybe I needed to, but if I missed your question coming up here, just let me know. By the way, you can ask whatever questions you want. It's awesome if it's around keyword research, but if it's not, that's cool. I understand everyone's sort of at a different level. So, and I'll just recap. So Bose asked, how many words should be written for an article for better sales? In general, more content is better from like an SEO standpoint. As far as better sales, like you have to have a copywriting understanding and that sort of thing. So the number of words isn't as relevant as like having the right person on the page, right? A visitor who wants to buy something. And you also want to like provide the right information. So the number of words can help bring in more traffic, but if you want better sales, you need to have the understanding of like why the visitor's there, and then deliver from a copywriting perspective what that user, that visitor wants. Dennis is asking to clarify how I relate volume to keyword difficulty in the explanation. So that was a greatly simplified, I guess, drawing. So in general, there's like, I don't have like data to back this up, but in general, if you have like a higher volume search term, it's going to take longer to rank. Number one, there's going to be more competitors, particularly if it's like a monetizable area. People are making money from it. It will be more competitive because people are making money from it, and they're able to reinvest the money to like get more links, make their content better, and in general, make it more difficult from a competitor standpoint. Additionally, I believe there's some component of the sandbox, right, the Google sandbox, that is volume based. So if you publish something and the search volume is, say, 10 searches per month, you may have a much shorter sandbox, right? And, you know, I don't even know like Maddie at all, right? So, but Maddie was able to publish stuff, rank it, and he's actually making sales from it because it's a buyer's keyword, following the keyword golden ratio. He published some stuff and it's working, right? So the lower volumes, my belief, again, no data to back it up. I don't hear other people talking about it, but like if you publish something and there are fewer competitors and the search volume's lower, I think you're able to rank sooner. So just in general, the keyword difficulty, I think it has some, there's some merit in the volume. So if you go for low volume stuff, you're going to have faster results. Bo says, how do you find the keyword competition? So basically, right, I think the KC number in like a tool like Longtail Pro is garbage, right? They made a lot of money like selling that KC number, but I've seen it time and time again where actually, here's a good story. I know an affiliate for Longtail Pro who makes decent money from being an affiliate from Longtail Pro, but very little from their niche sites, because it's like they're saying, hey, this KC number is how I build all my niche sites. It works. It's fantastic. Meanwhile, they have no like results to even show from like using the KC number and like making money from it. It's all BS. They're just trying to make affiliate commissions, and it sucks, right? You'll notice like keyword CAG, right? I think they have like some keyword difficulty stuff, but guess what? I'm not an affiliate. I don't even think they have an affiliate program. It's like a small startup. It's very reasonably priced. It gives you the data you need. So basically the keyword competition, you can do worksheets, right? I mean, when it comes down to it, like I have a worksheet, I use it in the course, right? The 5-figure niche site, but essentially you're going to look at the top 10 competition for a given keyword, look how many backlinks they have, look if they're actually targeting the keyword or not, and just look at the site in general. So you kind of have to go and do this manually, and a lot of it's based on the number of backlinks a site has. That drives them up, that drives the rankings. Kahir Jaman, sorry I mispronounced your name there. So I'm going to read the question out loud. I don't quite understand. Guess that search volume or keyword is 40 per month, and a search volume of keyword B is 50 per month. Is it a good idea if you wrote an A versus B review, assuming both are the same products but a different model? I don't know. I would like look for the search volume of A versus B. I don't know. Is it a good idea? if it makes sense as being useful for a user who's reading stuff on your site, then yes, it's a good idea. But just like an arbitrary example as a thought exercise, I don't know. Test it and see if it works. Like having one article written is not that, expensive. Either you write it yourself or you get it written. If you want to test it and see, go for it. I think that's a viable idea. Nicola says, local monthly searches, no community around, bad products, no sale. There's a question mark there, but it looks like a string of statements. So let me just think about this. Yeah, I guess so. So you're telling me like there's not many searches, there's no community, and there's bad products. Yeah, I would probably like aim for something a little bit better. So, but if you have clarification, like if you could rephrase the question, that could be super helpful. I'm not really sure the context of what you're asking, Nicola. Sorry about that. Marcel says, for the keyword golden ratio, I outsourced it to a VA. For all in title, she's getting totally different numbers, huge difference. Changes a keyword golden ratio from yes to no. You've checked the site, and she's typing exactly like me, testing incognito. Yeah, so you're asking if it's because you're in 2 different countries? Probably. Burhan says, is the keyword power and keyword keg similar to the keyword golden ratio? I don't know. I don't think there's a tool that's like effectively doing the keyword golden ratio. People have told me about them. People have had them built, stuff like that. But at the end of the day, like Google throttles that all in title search. So it can't be automated in general unless you do some sophisticated use of like IP addresses, and you use basically either a VPN or, and by the way, Marcel, you can use a VPN in the US and then that should alleviate the issue. But if you use proxies, then and you get someone to code this out, potentially they can do it. Additionally, yep, and Maddie lists a couple of notes. Yeah, so plural changes things, right? So plural and singular, different search volumes. Google usually like lumps those together. Like, if someone is searching for pen or pens, like usually it'll end up being generally the same results. So Rahul says, I always get stuck when it comes to content writing. Once you're done with site setup, you get second thoughts, and after some time, you always drop the project. Okay. And Velma says, you assume the results are from keyword keg. Yeah. Doug says, you've been using the keyword golden ratio on your new site, and it looks promising, though you're still getting out of the sandbox, so it's hard to know what the real numbers are. But in general, the keyword golden ratio is one of the best things out there. For instance, have I had success adding good keyword golden ratio long tails in the body of a larger article? I haven't tried it specifically. I usually don't do that. So no. Anu says, what commercial versus info articles would I suggest for a new Amazon affiliate site? 50-50. Brandy says, I started some niche sites last month, and you're ranking for keywords in the top 100 for sites and the top 30 for some sites. How could I improve the rankings? Get backlinks. Get backlinks to the post. Also, if you just started them last month, then just be patient, get the backlinks that I told you about, and then in 6 months, when you're out of the sandbox, it'll exceed your expectations. And Maddie mentions to Anu that you do 50-50 commercial and informational content, so that's good. Marcel says you have several Keyword golden ratio terms ranking in the 1 to 3 positions, but high volume keywords are hovering towards the bottom of page 1 or lower. They're all related. Best widget for insert secondary keyword. Would I create one monster post combining all the keyword golden ratio info to try to rank for one main keyword, or would I just cannibalize the keywords? So I wouldn't try to create the monster post that you're talking about. As far as cannibalizing the keywords, it may or may not happen, but I wouldn't like make one monster post. That's not to say that it's wrong. You could do one monster post and see what happens. But for me, I don't do that. Maddie says, writing articles lately, what if you have keywords like best shoes for bunions, best shoes for plantar fasciitis, and so on? Would I write one long article? No, I would write those separately. Again, I assume you're here because you want to hear exactly what I would do and why. I don't do that, right? So that's like putting all those together. It's like different searchers for different stuff, right? And actually your specific example, thank you, Maddie, for giving a specific example. So you have bunions, plantar fasciitis, and diabetes. Those are all different users. Like plantar fasciitis, a lot of times that'll be like for like runners, right? So I run a lot of runners will have that issue, right? A lot of times runners are not diabetics. So like wrong user. So don't put them together unless you have a damn good reason to do it. That said, a lot of other like people will tell you to put it all together and make a monster post, blah, blah, blah. Give it a shot. See how it goes. The thing is, like, you'd have to do that. You'd have to like really track the data, like understand like what search terms are coming in, where it's ranking, and then figure out like how to best optimize it. And it's like it's all different users. So I would say like it's more complex to try and do a monster post. Again, I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying it doesn't make sense to me. Sanjay says, which keyword tool is best for beginners? I don't know. I usually recommend Keyword Keg. It seems to be the most economic choice with the most features. I think whoever you listen to, right? A lot of other people have opinions, and they're normally pay attention who you listen to and see if they're an affiliate for whatever thing they're offering. If they're an affiliate, then you have to question some of their motives, right? You got to look at people's incentives, and if they are trying to make an affiliate sale and they're telling you, hey, this keyword competitiveness term, it's so awesome, like they better have some stuff to back it up, or you're just dealing with someone who's pushing some affiliate product. That's sort of, I mean, this like the JV model of like selling a bunch of stuff from people in your little network. It's a weird little like system that people have set up, and I'm not an affiliate for very many things. So, okay. Rahul says, how often do I write content for my own niche sites? Like 0% of the time. Dennis says, is it advisable to stick to keywords like best, X, for Y in niches, or do I consider it a Google penalty waiting to happen? No, I stick to keywords like you're talking about. In a lot of cases, not always. There's a lot of keywords out there. And what do you mean, Dennis, by Google penalty waiting to happen? Like, what's the issue with that? I don't understand. And feel free, I mean, like, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I don't understand the context, or if you have specific examples where like that's an issue, let me know. To my knowledge, that's no issue. Isaac says, my experience, all in titles should be less than 63. Maybe this is not accurate. Yeah, so like Isaac, that is like you're reverse engineering the 250 and 0.25, like that equals 62.5 when you look into it. So Brandy says, you appreciate it. You've been doing a lot of blog commenting. You'll start working on the second half that I spoke on, like relationship building. Perfect. Duke says, how often do I use keyword CAG? You tried it and it was down or offline a lot. You gave up and went back to KW Finder. You know what? I haven't been using it as often in the last few months. So I can't comment on that. And I know actually the developer just emailed me the other day. So yeah, I'm not sure. By the way, like any of the tools seem to be fine. A lot of people like KW Finder, Keyword Revealer. Some people love Longtail Pro. I've heard they improved it. And, you know, even though I don't like the KC number because it makes people lazy. That's the thing. It makes people lazy. But any keyword research tool is fine. You could use Ahrefs or whatever. Like almost any of them are fine as long as they're pulling some data from some like source. And if you stick with it, it doesn't like all of them will give different results. It doesn't really matter, even though I'm trying to provide formulas for the keyword golden ratio. It doesn't really matter like which tool you use. And the keyword golden ratio formula is aggressive enough so that even if there's variances in the keyword search volumes or in the all-in title, it usually works. That's the other part. It's very strict so that it works for most people most of the time. And keyword CAG, so Furhan says you find it to be reliable and good value. So, and if I was going to say, if you just like another tool, use another tool. It's no big deal. Oh, keyword CAG. Keyword CAG. So DJ is asking, it's keyword CAG, like that, like a keg of beer. DJ says, oh, sorry, I just answered that. Nicola says, low search keywords are not good in sale. Why should we focus on them if there's no conversions? Should we group more of these low search products and try to monetize them, or take a few higher and try to skip between them concurrently? Thanks for rephrasing that. Okay. You are, Nicola, tell me your experience level, by the way. And I'll answer the question more, but what's your experience level? Have you launched a niche site? How much money is your site or sites making? And just let me know where you're at. And that'll allow me to answer this question much better for you. Ricky says, once you have a written article, what kind of links do I use to power it up? Web 2.0s or PBNs? Neither one. I use blog commenting and guest posts. Velma says, how long is the content? Words per post? Anywhere from 800 words. A lot of them are in the thousands to like 1,500 word range. And then there's a few that are like 10 to 15,000 words. And keywords used in content, I have no idea. I just asked the writers to write it naturally. Marcel says, how do I rank for monster keywords if 80% of the sales are KGR and they include the main keyword as part of the longer term? Do you not even try to rank for higher volume and just do all KGR? You end up ranking for high volume keywords on KGR articles, right? So most people, it's a good question, Marcel. Most people fight with me on the details of KGR. And it's only the enlightened folks like yourself, Marcel, and several other people on here. Once you implement it, you'll start ranking, right? Maddie, you're going to see this. You'll start ranking for high volume keywords without even trying. So if you're going for like best pilot G2 pin for journaling, you'll rank for that, right? And then you'll all of a sudden start ranking for best pilot G2 pen or best pen. Like you'll start ranking for these high volume terms without trying. It's really cool. So you say, how do you rank for the monster keywords? You add more content, you get more links on that page, and then you'll start ranking for bigger terms. Harry says, my site lost 80% of the traffic. What happens? Can you rephrase that? I'm not 100% sure what you're asking. Probably you lost rankings or something like that. And Harry is putting his site in there, so not cool. I'm just going to throw that out. It doesn't help you or anyone else, by the way. But yeah, so I would say, Harry, if you want to rephrase your question, go ahead. I don't really understand what you're asking. Raul says, how can I find writers who understand and can write SEO optimized articles? So I would just go to Upwork and look for people that you're looking for, right? If you want them to write SEO optimized articles, say you want an SEO of someone who understands SEO like stuff, I would highly encourage you not to do that. You're going to end up with a bunch of people who don't know what they're doing, and they're going to write garbage for you. So I would say just find writers who write well and communicate well, and then go with that. That's what I do. I never tell anyone keywords or anything like that. They have like general guidelines on how to write stuff, and then I tell them to do that. You know, I don't want them to try and put keywords in it just ends up with bad results. But Raul, I don't know what you're trying to do exactly. So if you want someone who writes SEO optimized articles, go to Upwork, put in a job for, you know, a writer who can write SEO articles, and then you'll find what you're looking for. And okay, so Marcel, cool, you say the KGR works. Velma says, there's your problem, too low content and words, 800 to 15 and 10. Yeah, so longer content, right? DJ says, do I ever look at the competitors' websites and blogs and check their keywords? If so, any tips for doing that? That could be a great way to see like what people are up to, for sure. You should use a tool like SEMrush, which I think is great to do that. Ahrefs has recently like added that functionality too, and it's excellent. Ahrefs is fantastic. I actually need to do some tutorials on those new tools, but if you use either one of those, it'll give you so much information on your competitors and the keywords. So Velma asks, how do you determine what needs 10,000 words or 1,000 words? Basically the competition level and the number of searches. So higher search volume means more competition, means you need more words. If it's like, you know, a low search volume, 1,000 words, right? So, and I know that Nicola, I was waiting to hear your like your experience level, and I'll just mention that. Oh, okay, I see it now, sorry. You're a newbie, you started a niche site a few days ago, you want to focus on Amazon affiliate, but you need a plan on which niche to pick. You say not popular because they're already in business, but they are low cost and less sales. You need to find something evergreen. Okay, so the reason why I asked that is because in your question before, like you were making assumptions that like low search volume means you're not going to make many sales. But that is, I mean, that is a poor assumption, right? Just because you're going after low search volume doesn't mean that few people search for it, or that you can't get long tails associated with that term. So since you are a newbie, it's hard, like you're probably thinking, hey, I want to go after something with 5,000 searches per month. Maybe you saw some YouTube videos and some people who don't know what they're talking about are like, yeah, you need to go after these big terms, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, they actually haven't ever done that. So just be sure you're learning from people who know what they're talking about. So if you're a newbie, you should probably say, like, you should probably go after these lower volume search terms so you can learn what you're doing, right? You need to start small and you could grow into stuff. If you try to compete with like guys and gals or whoever that are in the same level as like people in my mastermind group and they're making like tens of thousands of dollars per month, you're probably not going to be able to outcompete them. They've been doing it for years, right? They're going after bigger terms. You should probably aim for something smaller. Now, you need to plan on what niche to pick. Nice, you mentioned that I say not to pick popular ones. Now, I'm not really saying that. You should pick a popular niche. Why would you pick? I never said anything about like a not popular like pocket, right? You should go after something popular, but you should go after like keywords that aren't searched for as much. So you probably should like, and I'm getting lost in your questions a little bit, Nicola, but you're on the right track. You started a site. Keep moving forward. If, right, I'm not saying my way is the only way to do it. It is the way that I'm doing it. It sounds like other people that are actually in the chat right now are telling you that it's worked for them. So I think there's some validity to it, but there's other people that follow a model where they go after very large search terms and they may tell you to publish, 50 or 100 articles before you start promoting the site. And they're going to walk you down a path where you're going to invest hundreds of hours, thousands of dollars, and you won't make any money for like a year, right? So that is one model. I think it's better to start getting wins and do what Maddie did, like start making money in the first month or two. And I bet Maddie's like an exceptional case, but like I would say you're probably better off like getting just early wins. So Nicola, I hope that helps. If you have follow-up questions on what I said, let me know in the chat, of course. So Dennis, for the clarification about best X for Y, there are many sites targeting these keywords and give substandard content with the aim to sell rather than advise buyers. Do I think Google might penalize sites in the near future in the same way they did with thin content on sites like eHow? If so, how can you future-proof a site? I don't think so. I disagree with your assumption, Dennis. I mean, look at a site like the Wirecutter, right? They're doing like best articles and like it's really good content, right? Like you can do a crappy version of it or a good one. As I mentioned, some of my content's like super long, like there's some value to that. So I don't think that's a major issue. I'm not like trying to future proof it other than like providing helpful stuff. Actually, what you're mentioning, Dennis, try to like help the visitor that's on the site. Balil, any quick tips on how to pick a niche to start with? Sure. If you're looking at Amazon, go to Amazon, look at some products, look at the categories and subcategories. Usually one of those is a good niche. Anu says, best shaver for bald headed, best shaver for girls. If written in two separate articles, will it cannibalize the keyword best shaver on the long term? It might, right? So keyword cannibalization, that's like where a term ranks, a post on your site ranks for a term in which you're not targeting, and in fact, you're using another article to target for it. It is a thing that happens. So your example, it shouldn't cannibalize, right? So bald head and girls are very different, right? So it shouldn't be an issue. If it is an issue, then you need to work on your content and see what you can do, but that shouldn't be an issue. All right, Duke says the KGR system works. Approximately half your articles are KGR, and you made $500 on a 7-month-old site. Hey, Duke, can you send me an email? I'd love to have you as a testimonial coming up soon. And I know, Duke, you're on many of the webinars and stuff, so I assume I'm providing you some good value. I would love to have some like testimonial information from you. Okay. What's my quick take on AdSense niche sites going into 2018? You have a portfolio. You're planning on having a portfolio with 50% AdSense and 50% affiliate. You know what? I haven't done like AdSense sites in a long time. I never had a big success with them, so I can't really comment. I believe is probably a viable model if you understand the model. And that is, generally like high traffic. Obviously, ads are out there. So I think it's a viable option. I don't know anything about it. I would tell you, Brandy, if you're just like sort of getting started, pick one, only do the one for a year, right? Only do like affiliate sites or only do AdSense for like a year, kind of learn that part of it. Don't try and learn two things at the same time. And Cam Lesh says how to choose a niche. So yeah, I kind of answered it before, but yeah, just go to Amazon, look at product categories and subcategories. Ricky says, how much is a fair price to pay a writer per 1,000 words off of Upwork? I'm assuming you mean on Upwork, through Upwork. So like 14 or 15 bucks is reasonable. Velma asks, can I give a few examples of sites? You mentioned the Wirecutter. Yeah, you know what? I have a whole playlist, and let me find, actually, I see like a good person like Sean pasting links. Sean, can you find my playlist on example sites on YouTube and paste it in here if you're able to? If not, Velma, I'll find it in a second, but I bet Sean can do it. Thanks, buddy. Raul says, should I just provide a writer with the title of the article and expect him to do all the research? Depends on what you want. So if you want the writer to do that, then, ask them to do it. You should always provide them with like a process, though. You've always written articles yourself, and you don't know how much info you're supposed to provide if you want to scale your sites, which are already ranking on the first page. So you're kind of paranoid about writers stealing your keywords. Okay, so don't worry about the writers stealing your keywords. Like, it's all in the execution, right? So if I gave someone, actually, one of my freebies on my site is like 15,000 keywords. Like, there's enough keywords in there to make like millions of dollars a month, right? It's all in the execution. The keywords, while I do try and protect my site, because there's a lot of like people that would do negative SEO and stuff like that. But yeah, don't be paranoid about writers stealing your keywords. A lot of times they don't know anything. They're trying to write, like they're trying to build their profile on Upwork. Raul, the real question, or the real answer to your question, is the more information you provide to the writer, the better the content will be and the easier it will be for the writer. I usually provide a pretty good amount of information, like an outline, like a basic outline to the writer early on. After they've worked with me for a couple weeks, I'll tell them to do their own research, and they'll kind of have a better understanding. However, if you just want them to do the research for you, just tell them to, and they'll do it, right? The more information you provide, the more directions you provide, the better the result will be. Duke, yeah, so awesome. We'll gladly have you on. Awesome. You can email me at doug@nichesiteproject.com. Camlish says, should we go for an exact match search domain or a broader name? Broader name. Velma says, what's my YouTube channel? And Furhan pasted the playlist for the examples. Yeah, so by the way, everyone, if you're not on my YouTube channel, you should definitely subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you enjoyed this presentation, there are like dozens of others, I think in the dozens of long form presentations. There's also short form questions and stuff like that. And just a lot of content. So check out the channel. Thank you, Furhan. Thank you, Sean. ATM says, what's my thoughts about an expired domain? They're great. If you can really shortcut things. However, if you don't know what you're doing, right, then it could also be the worst decision you ever make. So make sure you understand expired domains, and if you know how to work with them, it could be great. And just quick note, it's better to not use an expired domain and use just a domain that's out there. Okay. And Nicola says it helps and thanks a lot. You're welcome. And do you need some pre-terms to become an affiliate? I'm not sure what you're asking exactly. And it looks like I made it to the end of the question. So we've been going here for a little while. Are there any other questions? Like if you have any other questions, send them in right now. If not, we'll start wrapping it up. And yeah, cool. So that's my email address. If you need to send me a testimonial, like if you've done the keyword golden ratio and it's working, let me know. Would love to hear about it. Again, I'm launching the course again in January. So like I would probably use like your information, like screenshots and stuff like that for like launching the course, even though like you may not have been a student or anything like that. But okay, any other questions? By the way, tomorrow I'm just doing straight up Q&A on my YouTube channel. So if you subscribe and then click the bell for notifications, and my man Sean was kind enough to like put the subscription link. So if you click that and then like get notified for new videos, like all that stuff, you'll be able to come on again, ask me questions. I bet you'll think of some more overnight. Friday is when I do the general Q&A. You can ask, you can ask whatever, over, like I'll answer the same questions over and over again until I finally lose my voice or whatever. Okay, DJ says, would this process help a local business website with no articles, just info? Yes. So you would have to be thoughtful about like how you make money, DJ, and like how your business runs. But yes, in general, it could be helpful to get traffic on your site, maybe grow your email list if you have one, grow your Instagram following, or whatever like channel or platform like you're working on. You can take the principles, like tying it back to the beginning stuff. Like if you take the principles, like you'll be able to adapt it for a local business setup so that you can get traffic and generate leads. You do have to understand your own like sales model, of course, to make sure it's the right visitors coming in. Muhammad says, is it good to use 20 plus LSI keywords for writing SEO optimized content? You know what? I don't know. I really don't do that. But yeah, I think a naturally written article like comes out with synonyms, which is what LSI is. And then, yeah, so sure, that seems fine. I don't really do that though. Ziba says, can you give the general amount of traffic and number of articles to get to 5K per month? You know, there are many factors that would affect it, like the source of traffic, the intent, and so on. You just want to have a general idea for like what I posted on Facebook. So to get to 5K per month, I'm just going to throw out like ballpark. So the amount of traffic, you probably need, you know, 200 to 500 visitors per day, something like that. The number of articles, you would need probably, let's see, the number of articles, I don't know, anywhere from like 20 to 150. I don't know. See, it's really hard to answer general questions and how you build the site. If you have 10 articles, you can make 10K a month, right? If you spend all your time on like really good long form content and then link building, you could have 10,000 words of content on 2 posts and like be able to rank it really well if you have like a whole lot of backlinks. So that is super general, too many factors to really like answer. And Sean posted a Neil Patel article for social media marketing. If you're trying to grow your traffic in social media. Yeah. And I would say like, you could watch a little bit of Gary Vaynerchuk, and watch like a few of his videos. And generally, when it comes down to it, he's like interact with people on a one-on-one basis and try and give more than you're receiving. In fact, right, if anyone's been following me for a little while, this is literally what I'm doing right now. I'm just like interacting with people personally. We spent a lot of time, like, you know, 40 to 50 people for a long time, and I'm answering your questions individually. Like, do that in your platform, and then it'll work out well. Camlish says, how do you make backlinks? So there will be a whole presentation on this coming up in a few weeks. But basically, you do guest posting, and I usually do blog commenting early on to get no-follow links and network, and then do guest posting. If you're into other forums, you could build Web 2.0, like this is Gray Hat against the terms of service. You could basically, you know, buy links out there if you want to. I don't recommend that, but, you know, that's how you do it. That's one way to do it, rather. Ron, what's up? Yeah, there's a replay. You should get a link later. So what's up, Ron? Good to have you on. You should get a link later via email, and sometime in the future, this will show up on YouTube. Kamlesh says, is it good to do Fiverr for backlinks? Probably not. They're probably going to be low quality, and you'll risk a penalty from Google. So yeah, I would say stay away from that. If it sounds too good to be true and it's cheap, then yeah, it's probably not going to be worthwhile. Okay, and is the replay link out there already? Wow, that's pretty good. I didn't realize it was so easy to navigate to. I guess you could hop to it through. How'd you do that? That's cool. Thanks, Sean. Okay. And Velma says, you follow the YouTube. You assume that you would be informed of upcoming webinars. Sort of, right? So if you're on this webinar and you got the email for this link, then you should be on my email list where I will generally tell people about the upcoming webinars. I need to do a better job making sure I mention the webinars, but basically for the next 5 weeks, I'm doing webinars at the time, Thursdays, 10 a.m. We're going to do this stuff. It'll all be different topics, and you can like subscribe to those. So Velma, hopefully you'll see them all. Mohammed says, do I recommend scholarship link building? Sure. Harsh says, how do you pitch people for guest posts? Make friends with them and then ask if you could guest post on their site. And cool. It looks like we're coming to the end. And you know what? Georgie got up. She's been a very good dog. Maybe she'll pop up here for a second. Hey, Georgie, you want to come up here? So basically, if you want to ask more general questions like random stuff, come on. Come on, girl. Let's go. Yeah, see? Here's Georgie. She was napping. Now she's ready to go for a walk. So, yeah, basically, random questions tomorrow, YouTube live stream. Please go over and subscribe if you want to get in on that. And okay, cool. And the last couple questions here. So Ricky says, will there be more information on the keyword golden ratio for mid-competition keywords? Generally, no. We covered basically all you need to know about the keyword golden ratio I told you today. Ricky, just your job to go out and find those keywords and then publish content on it. And then you'll be following in the footsteps of Duke and Maddie, where it like worked out well. Brandy says, the FCC just voted to dismantle net neutrality in the US. Do I think it will affect those of us looking to make income online with Google and Amazon? I don't know. I haven't thought that deep. I I'm generally on like a news and information diet where I like rarely consume like stuff. I know that is like a big thing that I actually followed for a while, and I was signing the what do you call the things you a petition. I was signing the petitions and like participating and stuff, just in general. So kind of, a little bit of a bummer as far as like how can it impact us? I don't know. I'm sure there may be other constraints. I don't really know. I haven't thought about it that deeply. So anyway, thanks everyone for mentioning Georgie here. She was great. Like, the thing is, like, it's a little bit quieter. There was like a UPS and FedEx truck, but it snowed about 3-4 inches yesterday. So the roads are much quieter in general. So she's actually growling. She sees some. Okay, all right, we're out of here. Okay, thanks everyone. Sorry for the barking, and we'll catch you next time. See you tomorrow. All right, Georgie. Hey, it's all good. It's all good. We'll see you tomorrow on the Q&A tomorrow.